gang, David Henry from Inspired Tennis. I hope you're doing well. I am doing very well. I've got a pro staff, an older pro staff racket here to string tonight. Actually, two of them for our clients. And then it is day 3 of the Australian Open. So I've been DVRing a lot of Australian Open tennis. So after I get these rackets strung, I'm going to kick back, relax, and catch up on what's going on the Australian Open. I actually, in honor of it, have my Australian Open hat on tonight as I record this video and string up some rackets and watch some tennis. What I want to talk about tonight is I often, I often get a question from people saying, "Hey David, I use such and such racket. Which string goes best with that racket?" Okay? And I have trouble answering that question because I don't believe that a certain string or certain type of string goes with a certain racket, okay? There's a misconception out there, I believe, among the tennis playing public that this can sometimes be the case. And, it's not entirely those people's fault, because I think this misconception is perpetuated a little bit by the manufacturers. Because, for example, on a lot of rackets, when you're looking down here in the throat of the racket, where they've got a lot of specs and things printed, oftentimes you'll see use such and such string with this racket. So for example, on this pro staff right here, it actually says use Wilson Sensation string. Okay, so it's giving a recommendation. Now, I don't blame the manufacturers, because that's smart, good marketing. I mean, they're trying to sell a racket, and then they're trying to also promote their own string and sell some more string, and they're in the business to make money. So I certainly don't blame them whatsoever for that, but I do believe it leads to a little bit of misconception out there, okay? Now, I believe that string selection should be based really on 3 criteria, okay? Style of play, presence or lack of any arm or elbow problems, and then 3, budget, okay? So first, let's address style of play. A baseliner, a heavy baseliner with a fast racket head speed, okay? That type of person, they may want a stiff polyester string or something that's going to produce an insane amount of spin. A serve and volleyer on the other end of the spectrum, that type of person may want a lot more touch, feel around the net. So that player is going to want to use a softer string, a multi-filament, natural gut, something like that to give some more feel, okay? So style of play is certainly, in my opinion, probably the most important factor in string selection, okay? But another thing to take into consideration, as I said, is the presence or lack of any elbow, wrist, shoulder, any sort of arm problems, okay? If you're a player that has arm problems or elbow issues, then you're probably not going to want to use a stiff polyester type of string. You're probably going to want to use something much more soft, much more forgiving, much more vibration absorbing type of string, like a multi-filament, like a natural gut, okay? So that is a big consideration as well, is lack of or presence of arm issues, okay? And then the third issue is budget. I mean, we all have a certain budget that we have to live within, and how often do you want to buy string, or how often do you want to pay your stringer to string your racket? So, that budget is certainly a consideration in string, because strings vary in price, okay? I mean, you've got some cheap synthetic guts probably in the $3-4 per set range, or maybe even lower, and then all the way up to some natural gut in the $45 range. So, budget is definitely a consideration as well. So I did want to address that, because it is a question that I get real often as far as which strings are best for which rackets. And again, I don't believe that's necessarily the case. I believe it's the 3 factors that I mentioned: style of play, lack of or presence of arm issues, and then budget. Okay, gang, that is all I have for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and string some rackets and then watch some tennis. Thanks for checking in.